It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, everybody, welcome into episode 86 of the Border War.
I hate football.
I am a cheerful TanMan. I am here with a grumpy BG.
Football is the dumbest sport. The NFL's dumb.
Well, before we get started and delve into the inner mind of
Let's not
the
do
dark
that.
place in BG's
Let's
mind
not do
here,
that.
we want to take a minute and encourage everyone out there. First of all, thank you for listening, downloading. We're very grateful for that, but we want to take a minute, go to, ESPN, Bowl Mania, search for the Border War Podcast, join our Capital One Bowl group.
I would say you would have an excellent chance of whipping both our tails.
Well, based on
We're
our
not
picks
good
list,
at much of this.
based on our picks list last week, that shouldn't be that difficult.
We're not going to give you numbers, but let's just say they were not good.
No, not good at all. And also, next week sometime, we haven't said a date, but it will be released on Festivus Day.
I'll tell you what,
This
I'm
is
ready
going to
right
be,
now.
This is going to be hilarious.
I have so many problems with so many people.
Yeah, you got so many
So many
grievances.
things.
Yeah. The way this is going, BG may just air his grievances
I
here,
think
and I
we
might be
should-
on my own.
I
for the
think we
Festivus
should do
episode.
a video broadcast and do the feats of strength too. But we would need to rent some small children, so we would make sure we won.
I think I have a poll. I think I can get us a poll.
I'm not even going to ask why you have access to a poll. Let's just move on.
Well, I mean, I can explain it to you. It's,
I
it's
think
not that interesting.
It's more interesting if you don't explain it, but you've already ruined that now.
I mean, I can get a
Now
poll.
we know there's a mundane reason for you having a poll, and that's not nearly as interesting as all of the things that people would have thought, but now
Well, see-
you've made that impossible.
Yeah, but see, it might be mundane to me, but
I think what's mundane to you would be mundane to everyone.
I don't know. A pretty interesting guy.
Let's talk
NFL playoff picture
No.
starting to
Hockey.
take
People
shape.
want hockey.
No one outside of Ontario wants hockey.
That's true.
The NFL playoff picture starting to shape up, BG.
Yeah.
As it stands now, we've got a heck of a ball game this Thursday night. It's on the picks list with the Chiefs and the Chargers. The NFC North still up in the air with the Steelers holding that half a game lead on Baltimore. The Patriots hanging around that top of the AFC East. But in the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys seem to have secured their trip to the postseason this Sunday.
Congratulations.
Huge win. Huge win for the Cowboys. Another big win for the Bears. They knock off the Vikings, so the Bears are what I said 2 months ago. They're in the driver's seat in the North, man.
And I was listening to last week's show, and I remember saying it, but I think I just completely forgot that Trubisky didn't start for 2 games. Like, I gave them kind of a hard time. That was really stupid of me. Like, clearly that wasn't the Bears. As it turns out, if you didn't already know this, when you lose your starting quarterback, it affects your team.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
It kind of is.
It's kind of
What
a big
about
deal.
when you lose the next guy? Is that kind of a big deal? I don't know. That wouldn't
I don't
happen
know.
to anybody.
I don't know.
Who would that happen
You
to?
tell me. Is it a big
God
deal?
Almighty. I'll tell you.
And
bad.
surging Seattle Seahawks team. I think everybody was kind of ready to write off the Seahawks run, but
You know
here
who
they
I-
are.
you know,
Here they
Tell
are.
me
in
how
great
fun
shape
this
for a
game would
playoff
be
run.
right now. How would you like to see Seattle and Texas or Houston play on a neutral site? That'd be a fun game. These are 2 teams that have forgotten how to lose games. I mean, man, they're just like on fire.
Well, now the Texans did drop one Sunday, so now the longest winning streak in the league belongs to.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Why do you sound so grumpy about that?
I hate the Dallas Cowboys.
But I mean, like, you can't be happy for me
Nope.
as a podcast
There
co-host.
is
and
nothing
buddy.
about our relationship
Like,
that has trained me to be happy for
Like
you.
3 weeks ago, I'm going, man, you guys are in the driver's seat for the East.
And
you guys
did
are
it on
tough.
purpose.
You guys
You
are
knew
strong.
what you were doing.
And
You
all
knew
of
what
a
you were
sudden-
doing with your border war curse.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now you just want to throw shade at the Cowboys, man. Why can't you just be happy? Look, I'm not entirely comfortable with this.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely
and you're right.
comfortable
You're
with
right.
this.
And let's be honest. Back when the Redskins were in first place, I guess
Which seems like so long
the
ago
show
now.
before Alex Smith got hurt and our season exploded. I don't know why it's funny for a man to have a compound fracture in his lower leg.
I wasn't laughing at Alex Smith. I was laughing at your season.
Okay. But we both talked, and it may have been on the show, it may have been off the show, because unlike, a lot of shows, we're very genuine here. We just talk about whatever we talk about. We don't plan a lot of this stuff.
I just tell you what's on my mind, man.
But neither, we talked about it, neither the Redskins or the Cowboys at any point this season, in their best day, had a 1% chance of doing anything meaningful this season. Just really jostling for position at this point. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, man, I don't want to see the Redskins win another game. What's the point? I mean, it's not college football. I don't understand.
At this point, for you guys, it doesn't do any good to win another game.
It hurts.
It actually hurts you.
It hurts you. So I don't know. And I mean, and kudos to you guys. I told you, and I did. I said on the show before Alex Smith got hurt that you guys were going to win the division.
You did.
But it really does feel like a contest to see who's just. I mean, there's no good football teams in this division right now. The Eagles, they're the ones maybe with the least excuse. I don't understand what has happened to them because they have had no personnel problems. This is the same team that won a Super Bowl. You guys, I mean, I don't know. Dallas, there's always a certain amount of chaos in your locker room. There's always a certain amount of chaos in our locker room. The Giants.
There used to be. I don't think that chaos lives at the Ford Center or wherever their headquarters are now. I think they're on the right track, man.
Well, and I do too. But they're definitely playing some good football. But again, you are winning, but you're winning close games.
Which is that's not a bad thing.
No, it's better than losing close games. But I'm thinking about you guys as playoff contenders, and I don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, I say this. Whenever the Cowboys are good, of course it leads ESPN. Everybody wants to know, all the Cowboy fans, they want to jump up and scream, this is it. This is it. We're going to the Super Bowl. And so ESPN leads off every show they have with, are the Dallas Cowboys is this for real? I think it is.
Well, it's running, it's defense, I think those travel.
I think this is. Amari Cooper, since they got him over in the trade, Amari Cooper leads the league in receiving yards. He leads the league, I think, in receptions. He caught 3 touchdowns in the fourth. So they basically dropped what's essentially the best wide receiver in football right now into that offense, and it did exactly what I said it would. It opened things up for the running game. Ezekiel Elliott has been a monster since then. This offense is humming along. Dak Prescott, he threw 50-something times on Sunday. I think the question, can Dak Prescott throw? I think we're kind of past that now.
Yeah.
And this team right now is not the same team that took the field the first half of the season. This team right now can compete with anybody in the league, in my opinion. And when you talk about playing good defense, running the football, and being able to stay ahead of the chains,
right?
That stuff, at home, on the road, I feel good. I feel comfortable with that. Now, am I saying we're better than New Orleans or we're better than Los Angeles? I don't know.
Speaking of New Orleans, though, something's not right there. All of a sudden, they've had 2 really bad offensive weeks in a row. I don't know where that's coming from. Because that was a machine a month ago.
The way this offense is built right now in Dallas, I trust it completely to go on the road in the playoffs.
Man, that must feel so good to say. I can't remember the last time I felt that way about either of my football teams. I can't remember the last time I just felt confident.
That doesn't mean to say that I trust Jason Garrett all the time. But I'm gonna give Red credit. In overtime on Sunday, it was 4th and 1. He got criticized early on in the year. I think it was the Houston game specifically for being too conservative.
Yeah.
The easy play there would have been to kick that field goal. You had eaten up a lot of clock already.
Right.
The easy play would have been to take the field goal and let your defense make a stand.
No, it surprised me.
That's a gutsy call. It kept the drive going. I'm still not completely convinced that Elliott got the first down. I was really nervous that they were going to take some time to look at it and they were going to overturn it, but they didn't even do that. So we'll give Red credit, man. He made a gutsy call Sunday, and it won him a ball game.
Yeah,
a huge one.
Yeah, it was a big win because it's in the division, and obviously.
That basically shut the door on the NFC East. They're going to host the playoffs. They're up 2 games on Philadelphia right now. You know the crazy thing? The New York Giants are still not eliminated from playoff contention. There's 84 things that have to happen, but the Giants are still alive.
Yeah, except they're not.
Which I guess means technically you guys are too.
Well,
but
yeah, things may be going well in Dallas. Meanwhile. What's going on the field in Washington isn't even the lead story right now. I've always suspected that things were handled in a less than standard way in the Redskins locker room. And I don't put
when you spend years acquiring gentlemen, I use the term loosely, of questionable moral character.
Oh my!
And filling your locker room.
How do you say
filling
this?
Your locker room with these
boy.
Men on the fringes of society? Then these things will happen.
How do you say that stuff with a straight? You don't say it with a straight face. Hey, Dallas Cowboy fan. Okay, no, but I think here's what my criticism of Gruden is, and I don't think it's a football criticism. I don't think the Redskins. Problems, like you said, the fan base has a reason to be mad. Before the show we were talking about, you're like, well, at who? Because, but things had started going south. I could see it before Smith got hurt. That obviously was just the nail in the coffin early. But I don't think this season was going to get better with Alex at quarterback either. I still don't think. There's a lot of people coming out and saying, well, I bet you wish you had Kirk Cousins. No, I don't wish I had Kirk Cousins.
The Minnesota Vikings, we're not entirely sure the Vikings wish they had Kirk Cousins right now.
Let's just be honest. If we had Kirk Cousins, we would be paying him $82 million.
And there's a good chance what are you right now?
You're 6
and 7. There's a good chance you'd be 7 and 6 right now. $80 million.
7 and 6. Well, let's take it to let's say we won the division with him. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. And that is why we're playing. This is not college football. There's not 150 teams in the NFL vying for, several bowl games. No, there's a very small number of teams, and there's only one trophy. And if you're not playing to win that, then you're not playing at all. And, the Redskins just continue to be a team that is a shadow of its former self from its glory days, which are becoming all too distant. And I don't think Jay Gruden has the personality off the field to handle the influences of Dan Snyder and the president and Bruce Allen. And I think that
something up there needs to change. I don't know exactly what it is.
Unfortunately, the thing that needs to change owns the team. And whether or not, and I
I feel you on that because we deal with that all the time.
I don't think that Daniel Snyder is doing the things he was doing 15 years ago, or even during the RG3 thing. I think he has backed off some. But what continues to go on is, I think, the relationship that he allows himself to have with certain players, right? That gives people a sense of entitlement that. And I told you, man, when DJ Swearinger started calling out the coaching staff and the way they ran practices when they were in first place and winning, and now Mason Foster, who by all accounts is a stand-up guy and probably just got backed into a corner and was fed up. You know how it goes sometimes, man. You get really mad, but you don't yell at the right person, right? It's like when you were in school and your teacher's fed up, and your teacher doesn't yell at the kid that got her fed up. They yell at the next kid that does something, right?
Right.
And so that's what I think Foster did, and he should come out and apologize. That fan base has been more supportive than a lot of fan bases would have been through all of this nonsense, really starting with, I mean, how far back do you want to go? I mean, if you want to say the modern...
The late 90s?
Well, the firing of Marty Schottenheimer, I think, is the first red flag I can remember to bring Spurrier in, who clearly was never committed to being an NFL coach. And then hiring, Zorn, who had never been an offensive coordinator.
I think we should bring Jim Zorn back. Where is he now?
I don't know.
I think we should bring him back. We should start a petition to fire Jay Gruden and bring back Jim Zorn.
Norv Turner should probably have been the head coach of the Washington Redskins for the last 23 years. I mean, like that he had the most success of anybody they've had since Joe Gibbs. When Joe Gibbs came back and couldn't, I mean,
well, he was gone a long time though.
Yeah. Well, and then again, you can go back to Joe Gibbs. I mean, nobody has their Hall of Fame head coach. Bill Belichick didn't decide to go into pro golf in 2004 because that's what the equivalent it was.
And I mean, look, all these things, none of this explains 40-0 to the New York Giants.
Well,
I mean,
but it does.
We talked last week about, yes, the Giants are kind of on an offensive uptick, but to be down 40-0,
you clearly have a defense that does not care anymore. They haven't been able to stop the run for the past month anyway. I think they knew they were going to lose and be made to look bad by Barkley anyway. And again, Swearinger's been in the locker room, not naming people, but calling out this defense. Man, we've got to play better. We've got to play with some heart. I'll look up, we're losing a game. I see guys laughing on the sidelines. I'm not cool with that. I mean, and then again,
all that stuff is fine and good.
But they quit.
Well,
that's all it was.
Having guys in the locker room like Swearinger that act like, that's all fine and good, but there's a line. You can't cross the line. You can't act like that. You can't say those things.
No, you cannot.
To
Mason Foster, you mean?
To the detriment of the team.
You mean Swearinger, or you mean what Mason Foster said?
I just mean as a whole. It's fine to voice frustrations. It's fine to have an outburst here or there because it's an emotional game. It's an emotional game.
Let me ask you a question, though. This is what I'm getting at.
Take Des Bryant, for instance. You can't let those guys, when that becomes more of an issue, you can't let those guys have those outbursts when it gets to the point where it's actually harming the football team. I think now that kind of stuff, it will poison the locker room, and I think that there's something going on in the Redskins locker room, and
I think there's something
part of it
going on in the Redskins locker room because of the greater culture of the entire football program. When Randy Moss went to New England, he didn't become a different person. He acclimated to the culture that was stronger than him. Every NFL team has chaotic guys in the locker room. The difference is in Washington, there is no leadership. Not from the head coach, not from the general manager, not from the owner. And so the players are sort of left on their own. And when things work out, that's fine. When things don't work out, there is no guiding force to keep it all pointed in the same direction. And what you have right now is what looks to be maybe the ugliest finish to a season that I can remember in my lifetime in D.C.
Well, speaking of ugly
you're watching a team fall apart in front of you.
Well, speaking of ugly finishes and teams falling apart, the Carolina Panthers, the other team in our box, they dropped their, fifth straight game?
Fifth straight game,
up in Cleveland last week.
One of the ones I got right.
Yeah. One of the three questions are abounding.
I said
now.
No numbers!
Can't help it. It's a numbers-driven industry. The Carolina Panthers, like we said, 5 losses in a row now. This is a team that when you watch them, to me, it looks like they've forgotten how to win a football game.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable. I think every minute that goes by, we had a nice discussion the other week about the job security of Ron Rivera, and I think every minute that ticks off the clock is kind of ticking down on Rivera's career in Carolina because at this point, I don't know. You've got 3 games left, and 2 of them are with New Orleans.
Yeah.
I don't see any way that this is salvageable now.
No, it doesn't feel like it. And, I mean, like I said, I thought Cleveland had – going into this game, the reason I picked Cleveland is because I felt like they had more to play for. Cleveland's not in the same situation. I mean, it felt like Carolina's season was over going into the Cleveland game. Whereas, every win that Cleveland can net right now feels like icing on the cake for them. And so...
Well, yeah. Right now they're sitting at 5 wins. That's five. That's a 500% increase in their winning percentage.
Yeah. But the Panthers. It's. You're right.
Carolina's got a lot of problems. They've
never been this team.
No.
The Redskins. To be honest, as a fan, I'm not surprised. I'm mortified, but I'm not surprised. Carolina, though. Now, a lot of people. I've seen this narrative a lot lately on message boards. Ownership, new owner. But people have such short memories. I'm like, so was this owner to blame 2 years ago when you were coming off a Super Bowl appearance with the NFL's MVP and you won 6 games?
Well, what does ownership have to do with losing 5 games in a row?
Nobody knows, man. They scapegoating.
You want a scapegoat? I think you look at Cam Newton. What did he do? How many interceptions did he throw down at Tampa the other week?
He is not a consistently good NFL quarterback.
He had another interception, no touchdowns on Sunday.
People keep waiting on Cam to be something other than what he has been.
They have taken Cam Newton out of the football game on several occasions now to put in Taylor Heineke to throw a Hail Mary pass. Now, Cam Newton, all we ever hear is how this guy is, the physical freak. He's a monster.
That is true.
And all of a sudden, he can't throw a football 40 yards?
Yeah. Well,
listen, something is not right with Cam Newton's shoulder. Something's not right potentially with Cam Newton's mind. And I think Carolina's, at this point, they've got to ask themselves, look, do we not just shut this guy down? Because if you're having to take him out to put in Heineke to throw a 40 or 50-yard Hail Mary pass, then that's a red flag of all red flags.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard for me to remember a Panther season that has turned as quickly. Both of us started out fairly low on the Panthers. I'm pretty sure I picked them to finish last in this division.
I think so.
And I'm still willing to say that even if they finish last, I was wrong. Does that make sense? Even if they finished last, I was wrong because I thought they were going to be a bad football team. It was their turn. They won a lot last year. In the 20-plus years the Panthers have existed, they've never had 2 winning seasons in a row, ever. So this was going to be a losing season. Until they prove me wrong, I'm going to go with that. Good news is they probably go 10-6 next year. Who knows how? But this was a good football team. I was wrong about that. And again, I think what has happened has something to do either with injury, like you said, or maybe I think the casual NFL fan, I just don't think we appreciate the difference between the 2 games we watch. College football and NFL football.
Are you saying you watch games differently than everybody else?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I do. Just nickname me after a really bad third brand cola, and we'll call it a day. Shoot, I might just weasel my way into partial ownership of a radio station. You never can tell.
I think you should.
Yeah, well, I know you think I should. But college football, the guys have, 20 hours a week of total film practice, weights, everything. So it's a part-time job as far as hours go. The NFL, man, no. Drew Brees is pulling into that Saints facility at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's staying until 6 o'clock that night, 5 days a week. And you are with these guys, right? So when something isn't right between people, and we've sort of seen, if you've watched that video of Cam Newton kind of confronting Kelvin Benjamin at the 50-yard line when they played the Bills a couple months ago, Cam is an emotional guy. He holds on to things. And I just think that you're right, man. Something's not kosher there right now.
Something's not clicking.
And
upstairs.
I don't know. And again, this is coming from a Redskins fan that has an instinct for this.
They look like a team that's forgotten how to win.
And when you watch them, again, I don't know how to quantify this, but it doesn't feel like a football problem. It feels like something beyond football. And to be fair, that is what you're saying really about your team, is that the fix, while it was a personnel move, sort of was beyond just a football problem, right? That the team seems to be gelling in a way that obviously was not happening early on, whereas the other two teams in our box are not.
Yeah.
We'll say are not.
They are not.
They are falling apart.
Well, what would you rather have? Hey, before we get to our picks and let the world know that...
I know what you're going to ask me. Like I told you, I didn't even look at the lineup for today.
Before we get to our picks and let the world know how genius we are at
you're going to ask me if you wish the Redskins had just gone 0-16.
Yeah. Would you rather start like you guys did or start like the Panthers did and be in the mix for a half a season or 2/3 of a season and then fall off the face of the earth? Or would you rather just be terrible from the start?
I'm going to give you an answer I don't think you're What do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to say you would just rather be terrible from the start.
I'm tempted to say that, but here's why I'm going to go with the other option. Because I do think in a league where you retain possibly 100% of your team, right? I mean, you could have everybody come back. That having won games, having something in our heads of when we won, this is how we did it. This is how it felt. This is what it looked like. That's worth something. I've heard over and over and over again from guys once they're out of the league and they're sort of behind the desk at NFL Films or ESPN or wherever that let's say a team goes 2-8 and then wins 5 out of their last 6. All right, they have a below 500 season. Nobody's going to remember that they won 5 out of their last 6, but that gives them momentum. So what I'm saying is this is not momentum, but if I'm Gruden, if I have a job, and I'm sitting down with these guys, I'm like, all right, we're going to flush this.
I just mean as a fan, though.
Well, I know, but as a fan, if that benefits them next year, then that's what I want. I mean, does that make sense? I mean, I'm maybe I do watch things on a different level.
But that's not the question, though. I said, would you rather be good at the start of the season and then stink at the end? Or would you rather just stink all the way through?
The reason I'm saying I would rather have some success is because that starts to establish a culture of winning that maybe you can return to. As a fan, that would be why I would prefer that. I'm not now.
I'd rather just stink from the start.
Well, I mean, there's a part of me that really agrees with you.
If you're going to go,
because the way we're doing it makes you angry,
right? If you're going to go 7 or 9 and 8, then I would just assume go 4-12. Because at 7 and 9, you're not going to make the playoffs, but you're still going to pick at 12. You're going to be somewhere near the middle of the first round.
We always are, man.
You always.
I think the Redskins have had the 12th pick like 19 out of the last 20 years.
Yeah,
I
would rather just stink. I'd rather just stink all the way through as a fan, because then I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't need to base my Sunday around what time the Cowboys come on, because I already know that there's an 85% chance they're going to lose.
Right.
So I would just rather stink all the way through and get the draft pick.
Yeah, it's sort of like South Carolina basketball right now, only I don't think we get a draft pick.
No. You get to hit the recruiting trail. You get to try and convince guys to come play for Screamy McGee down there.
But, no, I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm going to stick with my answer. I'm trying to be a little more cerebral about it, because I do think that for a lot of players, there is something positive in having had success. The real question for me with the Redskins, though, is, I mean, and forget last week. Okay, forget last week. Let's go back 2 weeks when we still think we were trying.
Uh-huh.
What is wrong with the defense, man? There's nobody hurt.
Listen,
everybody's healthy. The defensive line is talented. It had tons of success early in the year, and all of a sudden, just out of the blue, we can't stop the run. We can't stop. No pressure on the quarterback. Everything flipped. And that happened before Alex Smith got hurt.
The question, to go back to the question, I'll say this. If you're going to be good for half of the season, I guess you'd almost rather say like
no, you want it to be the second half.
I think you'd want it to be the second half because, like you said, you made a good point about turning things over and making that the start of the next season. So we'll give
like
you
a lot
that.
of college coaches will tell you, the bowl game, South Carolina's bowl game. Okay, let's just pretend, for example, that Fedora had gone 6-6 this year, and you guys snuck into a bowl game. Don't tell me that bowl game wouldn't be important for that program.
Well, it is.
It would be a huge win for that program. So momentum matters. So you're right. If you're going to win,
but if you're good at the start,
and then you
Carolina,
fall apart,
Washington, you're good at the start, and then you fall apart. That's to me a signal of a bigger problem. Whether
and it hurts you in the offseason.
Coaches, it sends it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth going into the offseason. So. But no, I'd rather just stink from the very beginning. Just stink. No, we stink. Let's just move on with life. That's my outlook.
What about if you stink at the beginning, then you start winning, and you're really, really optimistic, and you just lose your home playoff game, and the season's over? How will that feel? Hypothetically.
Well, I mean, it's probably not going to happen.
No. Okay.
No, it's probably not going to happen. I think you stink at the beginning.
I said, who are we talking about?
I think you stink at the beginning.
I didn't even name a team.
Listen, you stink at the beginning. You do a little retooling, reshaping of your roster
maybe
mid-season.
Pick up a guy or two.
Maybe pick up a guy. Maybe make a key trade and go on and hoist the Lombardi Trophy the first Sunday in February. The downside of that is there's a small man with red hair who has raw hands from clapping a lot. That's probably going to get a.
We're not talking about the Cowboys, man. I'm just talking about anything.
I didn't say anything about the Cowboys. I didn't say anything about the Cowboys. Just hypothetically.
Hypothetically, there's a red-haired guy.
There's a red-haired man wandering around with raw hands because he claps so much, and he'll probably get
high five too.
He'll probably get a nice extension from this. But hey, if it added another hypothetical trophy to a trophy case in a very large southwestern state, then
he says,
I guess we'll have to live with it.
He says, yes, sir, when Jerry Jones addresses him, and I think that's all that matters to him.
He's not allowed to look at Jerry Jones. His headset's not even plugged up. He might be talking to you on Sundays. That's probably part of the problem.
Oh, if that were true. I could give him some coaching advice.
I'm not sure that you could do worse sometimes.
We'd have kicked that field goal, I'll tell you that much.
All right, picks list. We got, 2/3 of the way through the show, something like that. Picks list last week. To put it in a nutshell mildly, we were terrible. We have a combined 7 wins from last week. And
to be fair, we are picking against the spread.
And NFL games are...
Yeah. I mean, when we
picked... They're full of NFL games.
We tried to just pick head-to-head, like win-loss last year, but especially with college football, it
was ridiculous.
Boring. I mean, we were getting 90% of our games right just by showing up. So
yeah. We usually don't...
That problem got fixed. We're not getting 90% of them right anymore.
Oh, no. We usually don't do the Thursday night games just because of the quick turnaround, but this one is too juicy to pass up. The L.A. Chargers going to Kansas City. The Chiefs are...
Is Tyreek Hill playing in this game? Do we know that?
I think he's going to play, yes.
Okay.
The line on this one,
Kareem
Chiefs
Hunt, is he going to play in this
by
game?
3.5.
Is it too soon?
That ain't funny, man.
It kind of is.
It really ain't that funny.
My team's going to lose, too.
Really ain't that funny, bro. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites in this one, BG.
When I say my team, of course, we're talking about fantasy. And if people are listening, they're like, no, duh, your team's going to lose. I'm like, I meant Swamp Donkey. Swamp Donkey, not the Redskins.
What was up with the mid-season name change, by the way? What is that?
I just like Swamp Donkey. That's what people...
What is that?
Well, people used to call Jim McElwain the Swamp Donkey when he was at Florida because he's got big teeth. I don't know.
Okay,
I just thought it was...
Sorry I asked.
I think it's a cool...
Chargers or Chiefs?
Band name. I love... God, man. I've been riding them all year. I'm going to say the Chargers keep it closer than that. I think they keep it within 3. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game. So I'm going to take.
It could happen.
I'm going to take the Chargers. These two teams played week 1.
Did they?
I think they played all the way back in week 1. Chargers, man, I don't know. You brought me around. There's something around them. I think they're going to go to Kansas City and get the win.
They are going to be my sort of. Everybody needs one when your team looks like my team does.
Like a second team.
You got to, and I don't mind my second team being complete and total bandwagon, So I think I'm going
That's
to
the whole
ride.
point of a second.
I think I'm going to ride the Chargers out the rest of this season.
Saturday,
They will never win again.
We have hit the point in the NFL season where they give us Saturday games now.
What a time to be alive.
One of those is the Houston Texans at the New York Jets. The Texans, of course, were on a huge win streak that came crashing down this past week, so they look to rebound in New York. The Jets are getting 7 points in this one. I'm going to take Houston to rebound. I think that's a pretty safe bet in my opinion.
The Jets are not a good football team, and I'm with you. I think Houston rebounds nicely. They will not be facing an elite defense this week.
Here's one Sunday, an old school rivalry. You love these things. The Packers at the Bears. The Bears are -6.
This is one of those stop hitting the channel buttons. You see those two helmets on the field at the same time, it's time to watch football.
The Bears are jostling for playoff position. 1 and 2 seem to be good bets. 3 and 4 could still be, 3 and 4 could still be up in the air, BG.
I think the Bears take this one by 10 points. I mean, at Chicago, I know it's a rivalry game. Something's not right in Green Bay. For the first time in forever, something's really right in Chicago. This game's at Soldier Field. Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears.
Talk me out of taking Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I mean, I get it, but I mean, how many weeks in a row are we going to have to watch that offense look dysfunctional?
They scored 30-something points this past week.
They did.
I think Chicago wins the game, but I'll take Green Bay. Listen, I'm going to go down with the ship. I'll take Aaron Rodgers in the points.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Next up on the list, Dallas at Indianapolis. Here's one I found interesting. The Colts are the favorites in this ball game. Listen,
I don't think I've watched 5 seconds of Colts football this year. Like, it feels like they must play. I watch a lot of red zone. They must play the entire game out of the red zone. Like, I don't ever see them on. They don't ever switch over to them.
Give me the Cowboys. I'm going to ride them. Give me the Cowboys.
Oh, no question.
And I'll give the points.
No, yeah. I'm taking the Cowboys in this one. No question.
What a bandwagon. Well, you are a Cowboys fan. We did talk
I wish
about
you would
that.
shut up. I'm trying to win against
week.
the spread here. This has nothing to do with the teams.
I
think you think it has something to do with the teams.
It's okay.
It does not.
It's okay.
You know what? I'm not defensive about it. Shut up.
The Dolphins at the Vikings. Minnesota right now barely hanging on to that last playoff spot. They are giving up 7.5 points to the Miami Dolphins. BG, 7.5 points to a Dolphins team that's also on the fringes of the playoffs. Give me Miami in the 7.5. I don't know if they go to Minnesota and win, but I'll take the touchdown plus.
Yeah, I'm with you. That spread's too big. Vikings don't look that good.
They don't look that good, man. Titans. The Titans might be one of the, in my opinion, maybe one of the bigger surprises in the league. They're going to New York to take on
the new unis. I didn't like that old helmet. I thought it was one of the worst helmets. It looked like a arena team. But
I like the old uniforms.
Did you?
Yeah.
I like that they changed it. I didn't want it to stay the Oilers, but
to me these uniforms, they just scream we're trying too hard. Like it looks like to me like they just made a change to make a change because they don't look. They're a little different, but they're not drastically different. Does that make sense? They just wanted to change them, but they didn't really want to change it. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But the Giants,
not like the Tampa Bay Renaissance of the late '90s.
No, just a complete change, and that I get. But this just you didn't redo the logo. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I got
I'm
you.
not crazy about
the logo is what I think I have the biggest problem with. It's a terrible logo. It looks like one of the ones you remember back on the old PlayStation 2 days. They had the filler logos.
Yeah,
it looks like one of those.
They're going to New York to take on the Giants. The Giants, like I said, still hanging around. There are 87 things that have to happen for the Giants to make the playoffs. But you're telling me there's a chance. The Giants, 2.5-point favorites against the Titans. I don't get this one.
You know what? I don't get it either, but I'm going to go with it. I think the Giants have a little bit of momentum. I don't think either one of these teams has a real foot-on-the-throat type mentality. I think the Giants win this by about 3 points.
I'll go Tennessee. I
think you're probably right.
The Giants have had some really nice offensive outbursts the last few weeks, highlighted by a 40-point shellacking when they hung 40 on the Redskins last week. But Tennessee, like I said, Tennessee's still fighting for that playoff spot. They're in the hunt, so I'll take the Titans and the points. The Redskins, here we are.
Yay.
Yeah, here we are. The Redskins at the Jaguars. The Jaguars have been terrible. They are awful. They might be the biggest flop of the NFL season. They are favored by 7.5 points against the Redskins and the mighty Josh Johnsons.
I mean, could you see the final score of this game being
2-0,
12-9? I mean, I'm going to take the Redskins because I don't think either of these teams scores enough points to win by 7.5.
Neither one of these teams might hit 7. It might not hit 7.
I mean, I really think this is going to be a punt fest. Maybe a turnover fest, which could lead to points.
True.
Jacksonville's because the Redskin offense is not going to. I mean, the Redskin defense is going to have to at least show up. I don't know I mean, it's impossible to predict this right now.
Listen, Josh Johnson, I don't even know what he was doing.
This is going to be one of those games where when they do the little Madden simulation, the Redskins are going to quote unquote win this game like 41-17. And then the real game will look nothing like that because those real players aren't going to play like their ratings suggest. So who knows? I'm gonna take the Redskins.
Who's the quarterback for Jacksonville now? It's not Bortles.
I don't even know.
The guy from Cleveland, Cody Kessler.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to take Jacksonville and the 7. I'll give up the 7.5 because, like you said, I think that a defensive touchdown or 2 is not out of the realm of possibility.
It's not.
I don't trust either one of these offenses. But I will take the Jaguars defense against Josh Johnson as opposed to Josh Johnson versus the Jaguars defense.
I couldn't even remember his name. Let's move on.
Quarterback number 4. That's what he'll be referred to henceforth.
You know what? The worst guy though is still the one who actually got benched. If you're Colt McCoy, man, you broke your leg.
I was gonna say, yeah, Alex Smith, Colt McCoy, that stuff happens, but. Mark Sanchez.
We just asked you to come in, Amy.
Off the street.
Just hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson. You can't even do that. Good Lord.
Sunday afternoon, the Patriots at the Steelers. This one seems like it's an every year thing. The Steelers getting a 1.5 against New England. The Steelers are just barely hanging on. The Baltimore Ravens are hawking them down.
They're my Super Bowl winner pick.
The Baltimore Ravens are staying on their heels, and the Steelers are in big trouble.
I picked the Rams to beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl. That was my Super Bowl.
I have to go back and get the paper.
What was your pick? Got? What was your Super Bowl pick? You don't remember?
I know I had the Falcons. Pretty sure I had the Falcons.
Okay. Gee, God. Patriots. I'll take the Patriots. They lost last week because that's apparently how the earth wants things when the Patriots go to Joe Robbie Stadium.
I agree. Joe Robbie, nice reference. I agree, man. This is the time of year where the Patriots, because if they lose this game, they could be out of the home field advantage.
Let's be honest, though. Whatever Patriots team we're watching, it's not the Patriots team we're used
to. Sunday night, Eagles at the Rams. Here's a big one. 10.5 points the Rams are giving up to Philadelphia. Listen, Philadelphia still got some talent on that roster, clearly.
Not playing well, though.
They're not playing that great. 10.5 is a big number, though. The Rams, Rams haven't played great the last few weeks either. The Bears held them to 6 points. I'll take Philadelphia in the points.
I agree. That spread. Double-digit spreads in the NFL.
As I say, I got burned on the Chargers with one last week. And finally, Monday night, the Saints at the Panthers. The Panthers are getting 7 points. BG, that ain't enough. Give me the Saints. They're going to roll Carolina on Monday night.
Agree again. Yep. Nothing could convince me to take Carolina against New Orleans right now. You'd have to get that spread up to where I would get pretty uncomfortable.
Nothing. All right, that is it for episode 86. Again, make sure you join our bowl pick'em list and continue to get those grievances in. We'll record that sometime next week. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you to everyone who's sent them in so far. I think the Festivus show is going to be a massive hit, BG.
When's lacrosse season start? Tired of football.
I don't know. It should be pretty soon.
Is it? I don't know. No. Is it in the fall? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't follow the lesser sports.
I'm not sure.
We just do 3. 2.5, really.
I was going to say, that might be a little much.
2.5.
That's all we can handle doing
2.5 of the sports. We do not know all the sports.
Not like we know all the math.